Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And today we're going to be talking about 7 reasons that exes get back together. We could only come up with 7, so that's all you get today.
No, there's obviously a million reasons that exes do get back together, but today we're going to be focusing on a little piece of research that boiled it down to 7.
Yep. We had come across this research last time we had filmed together, and I said, oh, I really like this. We should expand upon this in a different video. So that's what we got for you today. Obviously, there are a lot of reasons that people get back together. And, you know, sometimes hearing things that you forget about or don't realize are important can really shift your mindset and make you kind of feel at ease that maybe there is some hope even though it feels hopeless.
Exactly. So this research comes from Renee Daly from the University of Texas in Austin. Austin is a lovely city. Stay weird out there. And thank you, Renee, for this research.
All right.
But what she found was that there were most common reasons as to why exes wanted to repair their relationship, get back together, work things out. And so she studied specifically on-again, off-again relationships. And I also want to let you know that the population she studied was in the Southwest. So just a bit about the research for you guys to understand. But the very first and most common reason that exes get back together is, drumroll please.
Star Wars figures?
No.
Oh.
That's not even on the list.
Oh. It's number 1 on the list for me, ironically. So,
but it's lingering feelings. So what does this mean? For me, for this channel, this really does show that it is attachment and how powerful attachment is when there are still those emotions for your partner, those romantic feelings that are still there. Lingering feelings.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, how do you define a feeling, right? Like, what is a feeling? It's an emotion, a temporary state, but it's like, you know, when it comes to a bond like love, it's like more than that. It's like an imprint almost on you. And, you know, even if you've broke up with somebody 10 years ago, you could still have feelings for that person. So, yeah, I mean, to me, this is about attachment, love and attachment, and feelings are all connected on some deep psychological level that impacts our unconscious. It impacts in ways that we have no idea of. And I think it impacts us in ways that we couldn't even measure. But, you know, we really believe that the love is such an incredibly powerful feeling that it does bring people back together.
Now, I do want to note that just because an ex does have lingering feelings, just because they want to repair the relationship, because the emotions are still there, doesn't necessarily mean that the emotional tools or relationship skills that are needed to have a healthy and fulfilling relationship are magically there.
No, you have to work on those things. But feelings are a good barometer, I think, or a gauge to see how it can turn around, or if it can turn around.
Exactly. So the next big thing that we have here on the list is familiarity. So this is similar to the feelings, the lingering feelings, but it's a little bit different because it can also mean some practical things. Just having a certain routine with your partner that you're used to. This can be mornings that you spend together. This could be maybe you both ride to work together. So these little habits that you create as a couple become familiar to you. And once you do break up, that's a break in your routine. That person might feel a little bit lost. They might feel like they don't exactly know what to do next. And so that feeling of familiarity can really bring an ex back. It's a hard word.
Yeah, it is. It is a tough word.
Familiarity.
You got it, though. You nailed it.
Thank you.
And I've talked about this before, like, with the breakup with the Applebee's girl. Every day when I would leave work or part of my day was over, I would call her and we would just talk about how she's doing or how our day is going or, you know, what we were planning on doing that evening, whatever, anything that we needed to talk about. And so that felt very part of the routine. And every day that happened at that time, it was a big impact on me. It was like, I feel like I need to be talking to this person. And so you all have different things with your routine, with your relationship. that were consistent, and when that inconsistency is there and now the routine is broken up, it has a big impact on you.
Exactly. And any of you that are in a breakup that are trying to date again, understand this concept. When you're trying to get to know somebody, even know just basic things about them, about their family, about how they grew up, about how they live their life, it's really unfamiliar. And so there is a level of comfort with an ex.
Yeah, I agree. And when you think about it, it's like this new person doesn't understand you, or they don't understand, this is the time where they have to go get their kids, or this is the time where they have their class on Tuesday nights. And where are you at? What do you do? You know, all of those things, it's like a little uncomfortable. Like,
exactly.
It's like, this is weird. This is like, I'm not used to somebody who doesn't quite get me.
Or the new person is offended that you roll over when you go to sleep instead of cuddling all night with them. They think that you're mad.
Yeah. How come you're rolling over? Don't you like me?
It's
I
not
did.
you.
Until you asked me that.
Versus when you're familiar with somebody, they already know. It's not something personal.
Yeah.
It's a good example.
That is a good one.
The next big reason is companionship. So this one is a bit of a mixed bag, because for some people, they do feel so lonely that they would prefer to go back with an ex than to venture out, be themselves, sit in their own solitude for a while, or go find somebody else. So we really don't like the idea of loneliness driving relationships. We really want it to be that you have a meaningful connection, that another person adds to your life, to your already independent life.
Yeah, I mean, companionship is such an odd thing to describe, but we all know what it is. But how do you describe it? It's like this person that you're comfortable with, that you kind of understand each other on a certain level, and these routines and these things that you do together, and there's a familiarity that really comes with companionship.
Exactly.
You know?
In our work, we often see this reason arising in those with more anxious attachment styles. They're more likely to get back with an ex because they can't stand being alone for too long.
Yes.
Or for people who are serial monogamists. They date, and that relationship dates somebody else, but they always have to be in a relationship.
Yeah, which isn't healthy. Ideally, you want to be okay with being alone. You don't have to like it, you don't have to want it, but it's okay when you are just okay with being alone, because then you're likely to stay with people for the right reasons, right? Not because you're afraid to be alone. You know, a lot of times when you're afraid of something, we do something extreme to avoid that fear. And that a lot of times it's an unhealthy coping thing. So, you know, just getting to a place where you're okay being alone is great for everybody, I think. Because I think if you're afraid to be alone, you're probably anxious. You probably don't know how to soothe yourself, and that's going to lead to a whole nother set of problems right there.
Exactly.
And one of the things that I said right when I started the channel, one of the real reasons relationships fail is because of anxiety and all of the things that come with being unable to regulate your emotions, your anxiety. And this is what we try and help you learn and gain insight, especially with the Creative Healing course. Right? All these great cartoons that have hilarious examples of anxiety-ridden characters. In fact, I think we have Anxiety himself as Emperor Palpatine.
I think we do, actually.
Anxiety talks like the Emperor from Star Wars in the cartoon. You're afraid, aren't you?
Yes, you could tell that it's very Star Wars inspired.
There's some SpongeBob in there, too.
You might have to pay them royalties.
Not if they don't know.
All right, so that was funny. The next big reason is insight. This is the ideal reason. If we had to say the best reason that an ex comes back, I would say insight. If they get to a point where they're self-reflective, looking back on the relationship, realizing things about themselves, maybe where they went wrong, maybe where their ex went wrong, are able to verbalize it and process it, then come back and say, hey, I realized after some reflection that I actually do want this to work. I actually do want to put in the effort. I actually do want to see this through. That would be the ideal situation.
Yeah, it is. It really is a great one, because it shows that they've had time to really reflect, They're no longer just sitting there blaming you. Oh, this is all your fault, and we would be together if it wasn't for you. And they're taking some accountability on how they co-created these problems with you that weren't being fixed or repaired. And so when you have two people that are being accountable, and you have that enlightenment, that insight, it really can shift things, and in the most positive way.
Exactly. And with this type of an ex in this situation, you don't see them jumping back into the relationship. You see them being cautious. You see them being intentional, having conversations about what the relationship will look like now, how it will be different. So these are really important things to remember. I did want to give you a quote from the article itself. The article itself was by Teresa Di Donato, I believe.
Di Donato?
I think so.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Yeah, I might be wrong. But the quote says, ex-partners might see each other in a new light after some time has passed.
Yep.
Perhaps because they have, in fact, each changed, matured, or in other ways have had life experiences that make them now well suited for each other. So this also alludes to the fact that the breakup itself, the time in between where you date, you break up, you have new experiences, you live some life, and then you get back together, that itself can be really productive.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is why we tell you guys, you have to do the personal growth. If you spend all your time obsessing about your ex, you're not going to really have the changes that you need to have this kind of change. I have one of my best friends broke up with his wife. They were boyfriend and girlfriend at the time, and they were broken up for like a year, and they wound up getting back together, and they've been married like 30 something years since, like 35 plus years. Maybe it's even at 40 now.
Wow.
So people do break up and get back together.
Yeah, exactly. There is a lot of growth that can happen. The next big reason is that the ex is the best option. This is another one that we do talk about quite a bit on the channel.
This is what we help you try and get to. Being somebody's best option. What does that mean? It means a lot of different things. But it really means that you have gotten to a place where you're really centered, you're emotionally stable, you're acting in attractive, confident ways, that you're empathetic, that you're understanding, that you can communicate, a lot of these different things. And sometimes your ex needs to see what else is out there first. And as painful as that is, the most confident thing that you can do is focus on the personal growth, do those workbooks 30 minutes a day, stay committed to it, get into therapy. And so when they come back, you can act in an attractive, confident way, because they're going to see what else is out there. And ideally, when they start comparing you to these other people, they're going to realize, oh my gosh, what am I doing? This is a mistake.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And this is one of those breakups and one of those getting back togethers where you really have to assess for yourself. This person realized your value once they lost it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's something that if you do decide to continue the relationship, you'll have to repair that hurt that comes with that. You know, you really risked this relationship to go and see what's out there. So just something to consider.
Yeah. But the key is, she said, lost it. They're not going to feel like they lost it if you're reaching out, if you're doing handwritten letters, if you're sending clean slate messages or good reminder texts. Is any of that going to make you feel like you've lost somebody?
No.
No, me neither. I'm going to see right through that. Oh, how's my cat? Oh, I know how my cat is. My cat means you miss it. You miss me, and you're looking for an excuse.
Yeah.
I just got a message yesterday on Instagram. Somebody said, look at this. And it was in Italian.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. They're like, look, and stuff like from Italy. And the cat, he's asking about the new cat.
Il gattino.
I'll show you the message later.
Okay. Sounds good. The next big reason is regret. So this is another really important type of breakup that we do see happen often. These are the more impulsive breakups where there's an argument or a conflict happening and your ex just says, I've had enough, I'm done with this, I'm angry and I'm making a decision out of it. Later on, with some time, they cool off, then they realize the gravity of their decision.
Yep. But it takes time to get there, and they're not likely going to experience regret right away, especially when you've done the begging and the pleading and they still know that they have you, right? When you're still in the situation and you're still trying to repair things, there's not enough space to experience regret. I don't regret something if I can still have it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't regret not buying something if I can go to the store in 5 minutes and buy it. I regret it if it's sold out and like, oh, I should have got it at the time. Now it's going to be hard to get again. That's when you regret something. So taking yourself out of the situation is critical to get them to experience regret. So when somebody breaks up with you, at that time, they think they've made the best decision for themselves. They're confident in it, maybe not 100%, but they feel confident enough to go through with it, to follow through with it. The remorse, the regret will come later if you handle yourself well and are able to show emotional self-control.
Exactly. Somebody made a comment about my exactly, so I'm going to try to limit them. I'll say precisely next time.
Indeedly do.
I have some options. All right, so the very last reason is for the partner's sake. So we see this often when an ex has a lot of those caretaker tendencies.
Indeedly do.
Indeedly do. Maybe they were the eldest sibling who took care of a bunch of younger siblings when their parents weren't functional or couldn't, or maybe were working all of the time. We also see this dynamic with exes that are more anxious, where they have a lot of empathy and almost too much empathy sometimes for their ex and think, well, I can't break up with them because they're hurting this much, or I need to get back with them to make sure that they're okay.
That they have such a deep care for you in such a, like, I don't know, I don't want to say motherly way, but
nurturing.
Yeah, nurturing way, that they feel like they have to be there for you. And, you know, it's okay if it's part of the reason, but ultimately you don't want them to be there just because they feel like they're guilty and have to take care of you, because they won't really be happy.
Yeah.
But it's okay if that's part of the reason, where part of them feels like, you know, they should be there for you, that, you know, you're an important person to them, and what you're going through means something to them.
And of course there's extremes in every situation. So an extreme in this type of situation would be if a partner is threatening to harm themselves or to harm somebody else. You know, then you can see this type of dynamic where the ex-partner feels sucked back into the relationship to avoid a crisis, basically. Yeah, so this is one of those tough breakups and tough situations. Of course, you don't want to guilt your ex into coming back. Of course, you don't want to give them the impression that you can't go on without them, that you need them to be okay, because that's just not true. You don't need them to be okay. You are going to make it through. And, you know, you do have a lot of good things to offer as a person and as a partner.
And you don't want to be manipulative.
Right.
It's not going to last if you try and manipulate your ex to come back. So please don't ever threaten to hurt yourself or do anything like that if you're trying to improve your chances of reattracting somebody. And if you do feel like that, then you want to get help from a professional in your area locally that can give you the help that you need. Many people do feel like that in a breakup, and I understand, but you got to get yourself help, and you have to do that for yourself and not for your ex. Okay, right?
And nowadays with the suicide hotline, you can text it, you can message it. There's so many methods to get help really quickly and really conveniently. So if you do feel like you're in a place where you really need help, please ask for it and please seek out that professional.
Absolutely. Yep. Okay, was there anything else you wanted to add?
I just wanted to note for all of you watching just the range of reasons as to why exes come back. And you can see how some of these reasons are healthier than others. You know, not every ex is going to be motivated by their highest self to come back into the relationship. What you can control is becoming the best version of yourself growing, working on those relationship skills to make sure that if and when an ex does come back, that you are ready to make it a healthier, better, more fulfilling relationship. And I can't stress that enough.
That's what we want for all of you, whether it be with your ex or with somebody else. And putting yourself in the position to be successful, it's either going to help with them or with your other people that you date or meet in your life. So it pays off one way or the other. Mm-hmm. Okay, so hopefully you found this one helpful. If you want to get our help personally, you could do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
Indeedly do.
Exactly. So click on her name at the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.